Okay, I think what everybody would like to know a little bit about is how you actually got into this business in the first place. So if you could tell me a little bit about where you are now and kind of how the road went to get there, because that's probably a pretty interesting story.
It is an interesting story, and I was thinking a lot about that last evening before our interview today. And, back when I started, and probably back when you started, there weren't courses in colleges for event management and
That's
things of that
true.
nature. A lot of that was you fell into it, however that may be. So I actually trace this back all the way back to my grandmother.
Oh
I
my.
grew up in a very cultural home with an Italian nationality and a Slovak nationality, but I blame my Italian grandmother on this. She grew up in a very small, very tiny, close knit community, and she was the community cook. So anytime there was a birth or a baptism or a funeral or whatever, you took food. Food was your way of socialization. Food was your way of gifting back then. So
That,
I
yeah.
was always around it. And eventually she became the town caterer, for a lack of better words.
Oh
And
my
I was
heavens.
yes, and I was right by her side. And then as time went on, she started doing weddings, local weddings. Everybody wanted her to cater the weddings because she made all of her food from scratch. And
Oh
I got
wow.
to be the grunt. So I got to do dishes, I got to help prep. I was never allowed outside of the kitchen, but eventually I worked my way up to I was allowed to replenish the buffet and actually serve the buffet.
Oh my heavens.
Well,
How old were you when that was all going on?
10, 11,
Oh my.
12.
Okay.
And I thought that was the biggest deal because I got to sneak out and see brides and grooms and all of their decorations. And I just fell in love with that. Well, eventually, what happened is she got older and she kind of got out of it, but other relatives took over and I fell into that. Well, by that point, then I was in high school and it must have been in my blood. I was volunteering for everything. I was always helping to organize or to orchestrate or to be there when nobody else would be there. And by
Right.
the time I reached college, as always being the caretaker, I discovered not only was I in a counseling field, I discovered theater.
Oh
Well,
my. Okay.
I discovered theater and the stage. The rest is history. And I really got into a lot of the production end of things as well as on stage end of things. And after graduation, I worked for a large nonprofit for 33 years. I started out as a counselor, but then
Oh
found
God.
myself also being the one again to volunteer, to put things together, to coordinate things. And as time went on, the nonprofit back then realized they had to start fundraising. In
Yes.
order to get accreditation, in order to survive, they needed to start fundraising. And so somebody had an idea. Well, they had the idea, but they didn't have the skill set to carry that idea out. And I'm just sitting in the background waiting and waiting and waiting and saying, hello, hello. And of course, it was a group of men that decided a golf outing would be the ultimate.
Oh Lord.
Well, they knew how to golf, but they didn't know how to put raffles together. They didn't know how to put baskets together. And as time went on and more things came up, I was in the community a lot, developing relationships, developing professional relationships to bring in money, to bring in
Mhm.
donations, and to have events. So I became actually their event coordinator, and I really did all of their events as well as being their community liaison, which was the linkage between the community, the nonprofit, and all of the fundraisers that went with it.
Oh
So
my God.
I became their coordinator of
Okay.
special events. And I did that until one day they decided to erase my position from the budget. We all have been
Ah.
through that. And
Yes.
so then after that, I was still doing weddings and I was still doing events and volunteering, of course, and working these jobs and that jobs. And finally, I decided, well, I joined ILEA, the International Live Events Association, which
Yes.
was great for me because I did a lot of networking and became established, went to a lot of classes and seminars on
Mhm.
fundraising and event planning to build up my skill set, and then started my own small business. So I've done everything from the
I was
time
going to
from
say,
your house dinner parties and baptisms to galas for 1,000 people to weddings to fundraisers to you name it, I'll do it because any event is a special event.
that's
And
true.
my whole actually my tagline is my forte is the entire client experience. It's your event, but it's my event as well.
Yes.
So that's how I got into the business. And then by word of mouth, the Pittsburgh Shrine Center decided they needed to have somebody to really begin to utilize the beautiful ballroom and pavilion space that they
It is
have. But
great space.
they had nobody to do it. There were a lot of Shriners with good intentions, but
Yeah,
not a clue as to how to orchestrate a special event.
I
So
understand.
they hired me on as their event coordinator. So now I'm responsible for the entire event situation here at the Pittsburgh Shrine Center, which is a large undertaking. So
Yeah,
that's how I started, and I still have my small business, and I still have you name it, and I'll do the event. I say there's no event that's too small.
that's true.
There
That's true.
really isn't. And yes, you can think of event planners for nonprofits as huge nonprofits and huge galas that you see in the scene column. But then
Yes. Yeah.
there's a large group of people that are right in the middle that may not have a $100,000 budget for their wedding or
Yeah.
may not have a $125,000 budget for their gala. They deserve a memorable event just like everybody
That's
else.
true. It's just as important to them as the other organization's event is to them, you know,
So
so
that's
that
why
makes
I try to
perfect
fill in the
sense.
gaps with
Yeah.
whatever they have. I try to meet their needs. And so that's me. I'm the event coordinator, the wedding coordinator, the planner, the organizer.
Oh, gee
And
whiz.
for people out there that think it's a great glamorous job, there is that glamour side to it. But
This is true.
I also am the one that sweeps the floors and moves the tables and counts the chairs and goes through all of those things that you would never expect somebody to go through.
Yeah, actually, that's very true. We used to get that question a lot. People would say, "Oh, you're out every night and you're at parties every night, and that must be so much fun." And I think, "Oh, wow, yeah, okay," you know, because they are. But you know, sometimes it's like, "Oh, geez, not another one." But they're all really special and all really fun. So, what kind of events are you doing now, where you're at the Shriner Center?
Well, at the Shrine Center, we do a wide variety of events because our ballroom will hold up to 1,000 people.
Oh
And
my
our
gosh.
pavilion can hold up to 800 people. So in our pavilion, we do a lot of musical events. We're the home for the Pittsburgh Roots and Blues Festival
Oh,
now.
cool. Okay.
We are the home for a lot of memorial motorcycle rides for fallen officers. We are
Okay.
we do reunions, we do family reunions, but in our ballroom, it's a lot of weddings, a lot of big celebrations, a lot of corporate events and trainings, a lot of nonprofit anniversaries and celebrations and holiday parties.
Yeah.
We even do boxing matches,
I
which
understood that.
I
Tell
got,
us about that.
Gil, I gotta tell you, that is out of my comfort zone. But I'm one that says if you don't learn something new every day, then get out of the business. And just when you think you know it all, you don't know it all. So when they said we're having a nonprofit's having an event here and it's going to be a boxing match, my head spun around like the exorcist. I had no clue of what to expect. So we do concerts, we do a lot of school events, we
Mhm.
do a lot of nonprofit work. We basically do it all.
So I want to go back to the boxing for a second. Describe a little bit how you actually set that up, because your facility is geared a little bit differently than a lot of other venues. So I'm kind of
Yes.
curious as to see how you did it.
One of the unique things about our ballroom, and I know all of the venues in Pittsburgh, and there are pros and cons to every one of them. But one of the really good things here is our ballroom is tiered. So we have our main floor, then we have a lower tier that has railing on it, and then we have a sunken dance floor, as
Oh, wow,
well as
cool.
a stage and a sound system.
Okay.
So when we did this boxing match, it was an Uber event on my end. It was a new growth opportunity, let me tell you that. I know nothing about boxing, but I know about putting on events. So they actually built the boxing ring in the sunken dance floor, and it exactly fit the size of the dance floor with tables for the judges and the
Oh my
officials.
gosh. So it was
And
like a
then
regulation size boxing ring.
it was a regulation boxing match for
Wow.
all the
Okay.
local fitness clubs, and there were matches and there were bouts. Our lower tier, we had round tables of 10. That was a sit down dinner. So you were having a sit down dinner watching people boxing.
Wow,
Then
cool.
our upper tier, we had about 300 chairs that people bought tickets for that they could, there's not a bad seat in the house. So they
Okay.
had a buffet. The first tier had a sit down dinner. We had 4 bars. They
Wow.
had, in the very back of the room, they had basket raffles and 50-50 auctions. We had 650 people in here.
Wow.
Yes. And that was phenomenal. It was either going to be the worst or the best. It was one of the best experiences, and it was for Parkinson's disease.
Oh,
And
what a
it was
neat thing.
so heartwarming. Not only were the boxers amateurs, and so they're fighting for their position, and all their family and friends and their clubs cheering them on. I
Yeah.
thought I was in the PPG Paints arena at one point with all the chanting going on.
Oh
But we
my.
also
Fun.
had people there that were in wheelchairs, and people there that were with walkers, and they had Parkinson's. So it was just
Interesting.
really, really special. And it was such a success for them that we're now scheduled for year 3 to do it.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
Congratulations. That sounds really, really fun.
The setup, that was a 15-hour day. For those aspiring event planners, let me tell you, that was a 15-hour day because you never knew who was going to walk in the door, when the people were going to come in to bring in the ring, the caterers coming in, chairs being set up. At the last minute, they made all kinds of changes because they're boxers and they run boxing fitness clubs, but they're not event
Event
organizers.
people.
They
Yeah.
forget about signage. They forget about, oh, I guess we do need to block this off, or should we number the chairs? How do we do this? So that's where your day of facilitator really comes into play.
Oh my gosh. I can only begin to imagine what went into that, especially given the way your place is set up. Um, with the floor being further down, the main floor being sunk.
Right.
That had to be an adventure as well. So I just can't imagine. Tell me a little bit about the pavilion,
The
because that
pavilion
sounds interesting to me.
the pavilion is really unique in the sense that we call it an enclosed pavilion because we have canvas awnings on the sides of the pavilion that can be rolled down or up according to the weather conditions. We have paddle fans, we have ceiling fans, we have a stage with sound
Oh,
system.
wow.
We have
Okay.
a full kitchen attached to it. We also have a stationary restroom facility with pavements, so it's all handicapped accessible. And
Oh, fantastic.
in the back, we have an area that actually has horseshoe pits. We can set up volleyball nets. We sit on 40 acres of property. So
Oh
if
my gosh, that's
somebody,
huge.
yeah,
Wow.
so if somebody needs to be driven right into the pavilion for physical needs, they can be.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And so we don't use picnic tables any longer. We have white tables and folding chairs because, quite frankly, most people don't want to negotiate a picnic table.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we can move that around. We can get 800 people in there for the Pittsburgh Blues Festival at one time.
Oh, how
And
fun.
people can bring their lawn chairs in there and sit and enjoy. We've had very informal wedding receptions in there. We've had big family reunions in there where they've been in the back with the kids and inside with the older folks. We've had DJs in there.
Yeah.
It's just, a really nice space that you can utilize. And we have grills. We have a huge grill that you can actually do your own pig roast if you want to.
Oh my gosh, how cool. Okay.
And we provide a full bar service down there with bartenders so that you can
Okay.
do that as well. And the best part is we have free parking for 500 vehicles.
You gotta love it, because parking can add up. That can really make people nuts. So
Absolutely.
not too long ago, I actually did a podcast on that because that's your guest's first impression. And if your parking is horrible and they're upset before they even walk in the door, that kind of just sets the tone for the rest of the night,
Well,
So
my praise,
cool.
my phrase is you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Absolutely correct.
And
Yep.
when you have free secure parking for 500 vehicles, and when we had one of our motorcycle memorial runs, we had 700 motorcycles here.
Oh, wow.
And then after the run, all of their friends were here. So we had 1,400 people that
Yeah.
we were accommodating in that pavilion and fed them all within 2 hours.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome.
It was
Do you have catering facilities there? Or do you use outside caterers, or
We-
what did your folks
We
do?
have a full licensed commercial kitchen
Okay.
that is certified by Allegheny County Department of Health. We have a preferred caterers list. So we have certain caterers that we work with.
Uh-huh.
If for some very particular reason, be it cultural or whatever, we may work with an outside caterer. But
Yeah.
the reason why venues have a preferred caterer list is because those caterers know that kitchen. Those caterers come with a full uniformed staff of experienced people that can provide your client with the ultimate customer experience.
Yeah.
There are some people that are great catering companies, but they don't have staff. They
Yes.
don't do full service. And when people say we have a preferred catering list, there's a very clear reason why they do that.
Yes. Yeah, it does eliminate an awful lot of uncertainty. You know who
Yes.
you're dealing with, the quality that you're going to get. There's certain expectations on all parties' parts, and that makes it hugely easier to deal with. Nothing like a high stress event to, have something go wrong and not be happy about it. Never
And
works.
of course, I'm a little obsessive compulsive and I have high standards. And if they don't meet my standards, then we got to talk.
And, yeah,
But
that's no problem.
But it's best on both ends. I don't want that catering company to be set up to fail either.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
I want them to look good too.
Yeah.
So that's why we have a preferred catering list.
We kind of touched on the best event being the boxing, but as we all know, kind of you're only as good as your last event. What are some of the worst events that happened? Which are always funny. Looking back, they're funny. When you're in the middle of them, it's a disaster. But looking back, you're like, oh, geez, I can't believe that happened. So what's some of your worst ones?
Absolutely. And I can give you examples from both nonprofit and my small business.
Oh, have at it.
I mean, I would say and I call them my most memorable events.
That's a good way to put it.
Yes. And these events, I always learn and always make new rules afterwards and always say to myself, I can't believe I said yes again. But I do. I think one of my most memorable events early on was doing a barn wedding for a very young couple, and she was enamored with Pinterest, as we all are.
Lord, okay.
So she envisioned this lovely, idyllic barn wedding, getting married out, overseeing the man-made lake with the geese and the water fountain and the white chairs, and it was going to be just wonderful. And her bridesmaids were all going to pitch in because her one bridesmaid knew how to make bouquets. They were on a very limited budget.
Okay.
So I said, okay, we can do this. Well, it was in June, and it happened to be one of those Junes where it was one of the hottest Junes that we have had on record. All right, that shouldn't be a problem. We're outdoors. And the white chairs were out, and she had a friend make her 2 antique barn doors and stain them. That was going to be where they were going to get married in front of. Grand. Okay. So he went a step further and made 2 door knob holes like you would on a door, except he forgot that you need a right and a left door. So he made 2 holes in 2 right doors. So now we have 2 holes that aren't on opposite sides. And she was going to put little baby's breath bouquets in those holes.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I said, oh dear. All right, now we're going to decorate. And we have that morning a horde of young ladies coming to decorate all of these tables with these very ornate decorations, and they went to the dollar store and bought 200 votive candles.
Oh my heavens.
Not
Okay.
understanding that those votive candles were tea light candles and not votive candles,
Oh no.
which has a shelf life of an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who is going to light 200 of those candles? Me. While the panel fans are going full blast to air condition this reception hall, me. As I'm lighting them, they're blowing out as the panel fans are blowing out.
Yes.
Now I'm having a bit of a meltdown. Then where are the bouquets? Well, here comes all the boxes of flowers for the bouquets to be made the morning of the wedding.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, I'm serious. And I just went, oh my. So they're all making bouquets, but now it's time for them to rock and roll, and they've got to go get dressed. And what are we doing with these doors in the yard that have the two big holes in them for doorknobs? So I ended up taking all this baby's breath, making 4 bouquets and stapling them onto 4 sections of the doors so that you couldn't see any holes whatsoever.
That's actually pretty clever.
And I'm sweating putty balls at the same time.
Yeah.
And now they forgot to have somebody tray the cookies.
Okay.
So I got to tray the
cookie
cookies.
table thing is big.
So I have built-in time to change my outfit, of course. So we get all the guests there, and the justice of the peace comes and doesn't even have their information, such as their names.
Oh, that's a big thing.
Yeah, I knew we were going to have a challenge here. So everybody's there, and we got everybody together, and everybody's ready to rock and roll, and the music starts. And what she also forgot is not only is this a barn, it's a working farm with live animals in pens.
Oh my heavens.
So when the music starts, the animals start singing. It's like Mendelssohn's choir. We have the goats going, we have the pigs going, we have the hens going, and now the ducks on the pond are all beginning to get excited and flap their wings and fly everywhere, and nobody can hear the vowels because we've got Mendelssohn's animal choir behind us. And everyone is sweating to beat the band. And now the minister decides he's on a roll now.
Okay.
Now he's going to go longer. And then the bride's father, who was upset about the whole thing because it wasn't in church, decides he's going to give a speech.
Oh no.
And now the candles are just beside themselves. We go inside, and now we're late, and now we have dinner and everything's fine. And now she's going to have an after party for those people that she couldn't afford to invite to the reception, with a food truck and a beer truck, which arrives on time, but the reception is late. So now we've got people outside drinking beer and eating hot dogs while people are still inside. So by the time of the after party, the outside is already drunk.
Yeah.
The inside relatives are very upset, which they would be. The music is too loud. And now I see yellow, blue and red lights driving down the driveway, which are the police, because someone called the cops because of all of the chaos. And I just said, please just get me out of here in one piece.
Yeah.
Please just get me out of here in one piece, because we had way too much drinking going on in the heat. And it was organized chaos, to say the least. And I just said, I just want to get in my car and go home.
Yeah, that sounds like there was a whole litany of things going on in that one, that each one would have been bad on their own, but together it sounds like horrible. Yuck.
Well, keeping in mind that you can have great ideas, but if you don't have the staff behind you to pull that off, then it's not going to work. And I was the only person trying to pull this off for all of them, because they were the sweetest couple in the world. They just didn't know. Didn't know.
Yeah, every now and then I think event people are pushed into that position where they sort of need to be the voice of doom. And I had,
Well, and I
not
had to,
necessarily in a really bad way, but just kind of like keeping folks
I
on
had to be
track.
the mediator. I had to be the mediator because we had people that had imbibed a little too much, that got some muscles in their voice, and they were going to
Uh-huh.
take each other on, while we had to kind of keep them under control, with older relatives that needed to get home because they were tired, with centerpieces that were already done for the night.
Yeah.
But it all worked out, and that's all that mattered. I looked like a drenched rat. I'd gone through 2 outfits, but it was okay because they had the day they wanted.
It didn't rain, did it?
Oh, I wished it would have. That would have at least cooled it down a little bit. No, it did not rain. I've been in those experiences. It did not rain. It was brutally hot that day.
Oh
And the
no.
animals never calmed down. So
I can't
we,
imagine. I can't
it was
imagine.
like a petting zoo and a wedding and a tiki party all at the same time. I
Well, it
learned
was
a lot from that.
memorable,
I learned a
memorable, that's
lot
for
from that.
sure.
Yeah.
But that's good.
And
Oh,
yeah, but on the nonprofit side too, they do not go without trying to have their challenges as well. And when
yes.
you're brought in at the last minute to save an event, that's when it becomes very difficult in the nonprofit fundraising world.
Yeah.
And I did do this for a friend who was on a golf committee to raise money for a school district,
Uh-huh.
and they had been doing it for a while, but they wanted to up it a little bit. They wanted to raise more money. Of course they did.
Makes
So I
sense.
was brought into a very large committee. A committee of more than 8 people is not a committee.
Oh no.
No, it's not a committee. And Jill, isn't that how it always is? You get a lot of people
Yes.
that are so excited and generous and kind-hearted that want to be on the committee to help in any way they can.
Yes.
And you start out with 20 people on a committee, and then it goes down to 10, and then it goes down to 6, because everybody has obligations and family responsibilities, or now they decided, nah, maybe this isn't for me. And
Yeah.
then you're having meetings to plan meetings about the meeting that you were planning on having.
That's
And
exactly
nobody can make
right.
the meeting. And so when you walk into a committee that's been established as an outsider, everybody has their pecking order.
Yes.
And this committee had their pecking order with particular members that thought they very much knew what they were doing, because they knew how to golf and they knew how to dress very well for the golf outing. And we've always done it this way, so why should we change it now?
Oh, that's one of the worst phrases ever.
We've always done it this way. It
Yes.
works. And so your ideas are ideas, Paulette, but we don't think we're going to use them. Okay, fine. And so
Okay.
there are people who have certain strengths that they don't realize they have, and maybe they don't have. And not everybody can solicit donations from corporations in the appropriate fashion. You just can't show up at the
Absolutely.
door, knock on the door and say, give me $25,000 and we'll put your name on vinyl.
Yeah.
And everybody can't go out and get what you need for those basket raffles. And at the last minute, somebody's going to come in and throw you a shirt, a hat, and a set of golf balls and say, here, use this for your basket raffle.
Yes.
So it was kind of a situation where I was being sabotaged and didn't know it. So all of my good deeds, the other committee members that had their pecking order and their particular identities were carrying on. And that was fine. I was there to do whatever I could do, which was a lot of the busy grunt work, which was fine.
Yeah.
But the day of the event, the coordinator had a family emergency and he had to leave. Now who's in charge? And they all looked at each other and said, who's in charge? Well, no one's in charge because we are doing this and we have our specific walking orders. And that's right. It. So guess what? I was in charge. And surprise, whenever they didn't expect all of these people to bring all of these extra items for basket raffles, and they had nothing to do with them and wanted just to throw them into another basket. Well, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And then they didn't know what to do when people came in and said, well, I'm golfing for so-and-so as a substitute, but their foursome's already made up, but I don't want to golf with this person. They were just beside
Yes.
themselves. They just didn't know what to do. They just were shutting down. And at one point, I just had to take over.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
At one, I mean, in
I
that particular situation too, you're probably not going to make friends as you're trying to navigate this crisis, because people are coming in who have no idea that all this drama is actually going on.
and
So when they
my
get there, it's like, well, why is this running like this? Well,
and my again, another one of my isms is that if it's going very smoothly on the outside, you know it's chaos behind the scenes.
yes.
And there's always chaos behind the scenes in order to make it look very smooth on the outside. So that was my goal. I was going to run around and do whatever I needed to do, as chaotic as it was, to save this event for all of them. No, I'm not a savior. Let's just get through it. And then it rained.
Yeah.
And then it rained.
Because of course.
Of course, on the golf course, it rained. And I had to explain to them that, yes, you do golf in the rain unless it's so bad that the golf pro says we're calling it. So yes, they will golf in the rain because you just paid for steak dinners and you just paid for everything else. And so we golfed in the rain and the cold. It was an event that I said to my friend, thanks for asking me, but I think I'll pass on it the next time.
Please don't allow me to have that much fun ever again. You know,
Please do not allow me to have that much fun ever again when I'm ostracized for trying to save your event. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's funny. But looking back on it, it's probably, you know, a little easier to deal with. But at the moment, you were probably like not a happy girl.
No, at the moment, I was concerned. I was frustrated. I was irritated, but then I was trying to think of all the different ways that I could bond with these individuals to say, let's be a team and let's get through this, because our coordinator had a family emergency. He's not going to be here.
Yeah.
If he's here for dinner, we're lucky. So somebody kind of figure out who's going to MC the dinner that evening.
Oh my
because
gosh.
it's not going to be me.
Yeah.
You know, so that was my thing. I was just, you're as an event planner for a nonprofit, for a profit, for whatever, you're always thinking about how can I make this the best for them?
Yes.
Not for me, but for them.
But for them.
But for them. And it's a challenge in these days because, as I say, you can throw a dead cat and hit 10 fundraisers on any given day for a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And to come up with creative ways of doing new fundraisers. I mean, in these times, we've gone to doing things online.
Absolutely.
And people have gone to please donate to my favorite charity on my birthday. And though that works, it still does not replace that human interaction and that relationship building.
That's right.
Yeah,
Which
brings you to the point of how are we navigating these waters right now? Because quite frankly, I had 4 proms. I had 4 proms that were scheduled for this year. They're done.
Yeah.
You know, there's next year, but we've lost that income for this year and we'll lose it for next year because we'll carry it over. I've had trade shows that have said, we can't do this. We're from the East Coast.
Yeah.
We can't bring people from all of these states in. One of our biggest clients has 1,000 people here every year for a memorial luncheon. There's no way they can justify having 1,000 people together.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're in new uncharted territories right now with putting on our website, please call us. We're not closed in the sense of we're not shutting down. We're not right now. We're following all the standards, but please call us for a date. For your weddings, let's talk about a Friday or a Sunday. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about some alternative ideas for what we can do for your event.
Are you starting to see events stack up in the fall where you have,
I will tell you, Jill, that when we finally get the go to do events, I'm going to get a cot and put a cot in my office because I am totally slammed.
That's that's a really good thing to a certain extent. I'm hearing that from other people as well. So that's good.
To a certain extent.
The thing that concerns me, especially with the nonprofits, is as those events stack up, their donors, their guests are going to be put in a position where they need to choose. And that's sort of a little bit on the unnerving side.
The unnerving side is for the nonprofits that have planned these galas and fundraisers their annual galas and their annual fundraisers for the fall and early winter that they really depend on. Because now I really think people are going to be very much questioning, do I want to go or don't I want to go?
Yeah.
Am I in the financial position where I can just say, here's my money for my ticket and don't worry about it?
Yeah.
Virtual fundraisers are okay, but it still is a
It's
challenge.
not, yeah, it's not the same thing.
Same thing. It's not the same thing. So we're real concerned about that. I'm not concerned about my other events, like the weddings will go on, but I'm struggling with those because they're struggling. We have 250 people invited to your wedding.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? I had a mother that was struggling. Oh, she must have called me 3 times a day for 3 weeks about changing the date. And I tried to assure her date was okay, but she wasn't assured. So she kicked it out another month. But is her caterer available? Is her ceremony site available? We're dealing with those kinds of things, as well as the nonprofits that are saying, I don't think we can afford to have that event now because we've had to lay off staff.
Yes.
Now, how can we have this gala and this celebration when we've just laid off 20% of our staff?
Exactly.
So they're struggling with that as well. So what we're trying to do is offer them anything that we can, even if it's a small discount, if we can, if we need to, if they're one of our regular clients, or offering them weekdays, offering them things to try to think out of the box that they can do, that we can help them with.
Okay.
Because this has taken a huge hit on the hospitality industry.
Yes, and it's really scary. I'm worried that people won't be coming back.
I'm afraid of that too. I mean, one of our big restaurant groups in Pittsburgh laid off 900 folks.
Ugh.
And not sure that they're going to be able to maintain taking back all 900 folks. But for nonprofits, it's just they now have to begin to start thinking out of the box with how they do things.
Exactly.
Do they have virtual auctions? Do they have online auctions? Do they have online parties? I mean, Zoom has been overloaded with people just trying to say, can we stay connected in some way? And maybe that'll catch on in the meantime.
Yeah.
But I don't foresee having big fundraisers for nonprofits of 300 and 400 people for quite some time.
I don't see that anytime soon. And people are, I think, getting fatigued with doing Zoom and all those sorts of things. So that's one of those things too. And a nonprofit's in a position where they need to keep in touch with everybody.
Exactly.
And they can't be pitching for money every time they get in touch with someone.
And, all the GoFundMe accounts and all the reaching out to media, I mean, that's fabulous and that's great. But at some point, that's going to get saturated as well.
Yeah.
Because you can only go to the well so many times to
That's
ask.
right. Yeah,
so
that's right.
Really, and writing proposals and writing grants is only going to go so far as well.
Yeah. Well, now, in your facility, are you looking at doing any kind of social distancing and such when you seat people, or your table, instead of tables of 8, they're now tables of 6, things like that?
I have been giving serious consideration to that because the way that we currently have it is we have tables of 8, tables of 10. I'm currently thinking about using those tables of 10 and putting 6 people at them.
Yes.
As opposed to 10 people at them.
Yeah.
Yes, we are going to definitely be doing that. Instead of putting 12 tables on my lower tier, I might end up putting 6 tables on my lower tier.
Yeah.
Just in order to kind of maintain some sense of safety and security for people. And we certainly very much have disinfected and we clean.
Yeah, absolutely.
But nonetheless, you can only do so much of that. So we will be making adjustments to that. We're not going to have people congregating like they once did with 650 people in here.
Yeah.
That's just not going to happen.
I do think going forward, it's going to be a very different environment for larger events. And there may not be as many large events at all, even until like maybe the middle of next year, which is really...
And I've suggested to some people, instead of having your larger event, maybe break it up into 2 events,
Yeah.
maybe break it up into 3 events over the year, and have phase 1, 2, and 3 or whatever. Just break it up over a period of time so that you can still get that same result, but you've given people the opportunity now. Instead of 1 date, now you've got 3 dates to choose from.
Yeah, which I think too will make people actually a lot more comfortable.
Right.
They don't want to necessarily be in a group, and that's absolutely understandable.
So if you have 200 people in our ballroom that holds 800 people, you're going to feel a whole lot more comfortable than than having a holiday party for 400 people in the ballroom.
Yeah.
So, maybe you break your fundraiser up and you have a couple of them, the same one, but repeated. So you're saving money. You're not reinventing the wheel with each fundraiser.
Yeah.
It's the same fundraiser with different times and dates.
I think that makes perfect sense. If nothing else, I think it gives you the opportunity to reach more people.
Well, it does.
They may not be able to do a Saturday event, but they could do one on a Monday,
Exactly. And I foresee that happening. That was just a thought that I just had now. Bing! That somebody break up that gala into portions. And then if you can't hit the one that you wanted to, maybe you can hit the next one so that you're not losing your audience or your base.
Yeah.
But people are feeling more comfortable.
Wow, that's good. That's a really good idea. How can people get in touch with you?
It's very easy to get in touch with me. You can just go to the Pittsburgh Shrine Center. We are on Facebook. We have a web page.
Okay.
You can download our event guide. You can download our wedding guide. You can also go to my website, which is Paulette Zanotti Events, and get the same information.
Wonderful.
But certainly you can go to the Pittsburgh Shrine Center. You can download everything. All of our contact information is on there. You can do a direct submission form. And because I work 24/7 and never sleep, as you, I'm going to get back to you within 24 hours, 24 to 48 hours, and you're going to hear back from me.
That's good to know. That's really good to know.
Well, I'm very, very old school in that sense, that if I have a lead, if somebody contacts me and I don't contact them for 5 days, I've lost them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
If I acknowledge that I heard from them, even with, hey, I heard from you, I'll call you on Wednesday at noon. That says to me, I cared enough to reach out.
That's true.
If I personally call somebody and say, I need something, and I don't hear back from them, they're off my list.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah.
I try to extend myself as much as possible, even to my cell phone number.
Uh-huh.
No, I'm not saying for the whole world, oh, you can call me at any time. No, they do. I've had emails at 1:30 in the morning from somebody that just got engaged 2 hours before and wants to already start looking for venues.
Oh.
Or I've had nonprofits call me and say, oh my gosh, my venue just canceled out on me.
Yes.
Now we know we had that situation with one of our events.
I was going to bring it up. Yeah, that was.
And I took some of those, and I got some of those in at a discount. We all banded together in the hospitality events industry to do that. But I've had people call me at 8 o'clock in the morning. Oh my gosh, the venue that I had double booked accidentally.
Yeah. And
I need a place as soon as possible. So I try to accommodate as much as possible.
Yeah.
We all do.
That's kind of how we all work, which is a good thing. Especially in this day and age where there's so much uncertainty going on in the industry, and we don't know who's going to be around in 6 months, and it's just awful situation.
I know it is, but I try to remain very positive. There are a lot of people that say to me, "Oh, you're just being flippant," or "Oh, you're in denial." Well, denial is my best friend, of course. But I'm saying, look, we are warriors and we are survivors. And yes, this is a horrific time. Do not get me wrong. None of us saw this coming, and we're living through it. But my thing is, get up, get dressed, and get going every day to get some sort of structure and normalcy back. And however it looks, we're going to make it work. We're going to make it work.
I think we're going to be just fine.
We're Pittsburgh. We're going to make it work.
You
I
know,
mean,
we're in the business where being creative and being innovative and such, it has to happen.
and
All
I think more now than ever, we need to be willing to reach out to those people and say, I have an idea.
yes,
I'm not going to charge you for my idea. I
but
have an idea. Why
I,
don't we look at
yeah,
it a different way that you might not have thought of?
that's very true.
So
Very,
we need to give back within ourselves to others to say, no, I'm not charging you $75 for the consultation. Let's sit down and talk about how we might be able to do that. You'll
yes,
get back threefold.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Paulette, it has been wonderful chatting with you. It's so good to catch up. It's been a little bit, and I'm grateful that we got together and sat
Yeah,
down
I
and
am too.
talked.
I'm
So,
excited. I'm
yeah,
excited for your website. I'm excited for everything you're
thank
doing.
you.
I
Thank you.
appreciate you so much for everything that you've done
Oh,
over
that's
all the
sweet.
years. And I think that even though it can be a competitive field, I think it can also be very much a community. And I think
I
we
think
are.
we very much, all of us work together. We want to see
We do.
everybody, do well. It
We do.
benefits all of us when we do well. So that's
I
important.
certainly do. And to all of you out there, I'm here. If I can help you in any way, call me.
I'll make sure as well to put all the information for keeping in touch with Paulette on the website and on the video. And every time we release that, I'll make sure that your hashtags are in there and we can make sure people come to you and see how awesome you guys are. So,
You're the
okay.
best.
All
You're the
right.
best.
Have a
All right.
wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See
And
you.
thanks everybody else for listening. Bye.
Bye-bye.